Hello friends, welcome to UGC EPG Pathshala. I am Atika Tajdar from the Department of Geography, Jamia Millia Islamia. Today we will discuss basic concepts of hazards, vulnerability and risk. The learning objectives are to introduce the concept of hazards, vulnerability and risk, to describe hazards and forms of hazards, to reflect on the vulnerability, its forms and understand its implication in disaster management, to develop a conceptual understanding of risk. Let us define hazards. Hazard is a rare or extreme event in the natural or man-made environment that adversely affect human lives, properties or activities to the extent of causing a disaster is known as hazard. Hazards are potentially damaging physical events, phenomena or human activities that cause loss of life, injury, property damage, social and economic disruption or environmental degradation. They are external factors that affect the society or elements at risk. Hazards have the potential to cause disaster. Every living being experiences some form of threat to life, property, or anything which holds value to them. The source of the threat is called risk. Hazard can be as extreme as nuclear meltdown to as simple as road accidents. Hazards were largely considered as acts of God, divine forces of nature in early human history. This thought was fatalistic and did not resonate the societal responsibility in causing disaster or manifestation of a hazard. According to Atkin, in 2015, a departure from that thought happened post the Lisbon earthquake in 1755. The earthquake brought forth a scientific viewpoint to the idea of hazards and their origins due to the commonalities in the destroyed houses. There has been a gradual emergence of the term hazard as threat to mankind. Alexander in 2000 described hazards as extreme geophysical events capable of causing disasters. The interpretation of hazards by Cutter, Hewitt, and the definition of UNISDR also portray hazard as threats to human well-being, property or environment. It is to be noted that the hazard is the threat of events but not the probability of its occurrence of the actual event. Hazards are also analyzed in the context of vulnerability. Many studies have identified how hazards manifests itself when it interacts with the vulnerability. Eminent researcher Quarantelli, Wisner, Cutter, Hewitt, Blakey, Cannon, Davis, Chapman have argued in similar lines. The concept of hazards and their manifestations are dependent on time and space. The impact of hazards among people also varies from person to place. For instance, young people might not consider crossing a busy road as a hazard, while for the elderly and the differently abled, it is a serious hazard. Similarly, for malnourished people, diarrhea is a serious threat, but for their healthy counterparts, this may not be the case. Considering natural disasters, an earthquake, which is a hazard occurring in uninhabited desert, will be of little concern and consequence than an earthquake occurring in a densely populated city. The subjective position of the person also determines the lens through which the hazard is viewed. Thus, hazards are not always bad. On the contrary, certain hazards like floods are welcome to farmers since it brings silt in their land as long as the flood does not cause damage, human or economic loss. Let us discuss the typology of hazards. Hazard can be classified across many dimensions. The most commonly used classification method classified hazard according to its origin. The classification used by EMD80 distinguishes hazards as natural, anthropogenic. Please note that this classification is largely debated as anthropogenic element always exist in occurrence of a natural disaster, but for the sake of simplicity we shall follow this classification, which is natural disasters are further classified in the following categories. The definition of each of the subgroup is as follows. Geophysical: the phenomena originating from inside the earth as a result of the various geological, geophysical and tectonic activities. The dynamic nature of the earth crust resulted in the geophysical hazards. Example: earthquake, volcano, mass movement, which is dry. Meteorological: events caused by short-lived or small to mesoscale atmospheric processes in the spectrum from minutes to days. Example: thunderstorm, lightning, etc. Hydrological: event caused by imbalance in the normal hydrological cycle and or overflow of bodies of water caused by wind setup. Example: flood, urban flooding, mass movement, which is wet, etc. Climatological: events caused by long-lived meso to macro scale atmospheric processes in the spectrum from intra-seasonal to multi-decadal climate variability. Example: extreme temperature, drought, wildfire, etc. Biological: disaster caused due to exposure of living organism to germs and toxic substances. Example: epidemic, pest infestation, community disease. Coppola in his book Introduction to International Disaster Management classifies 5 types of hazards. Natural hazards, which is hazard occurring from extreme or common physical processes. Example: earthquake, flood, tsunami, hurricanes, etc. Natural hazard can be further categorized as hydrometeorological or atmospheric hazard, flood, drought, etc. Geophysical or geological hazards, earthquake, tsunami, volcanoes, etc. Social hazards: these originate in social system and are caused by human actions. Example: famines, social conflicts, wars, complex emergencies. Sen's seminal work on entitlement theory examined how the Great Bengal famine of 1943 was caused due to anthropogenic factor rather than crisis of a flood, crisis of food due to drought. Social hazards like complex emergencies often find less media and donor attention than natural hazards. Also, they are more political and complicated. Biological hazards: these type of hazards are originate from biological agents like virus, bacteria, etc. Example: AIDS, foot and mouth disease, SARS, Ebola, swine flu, etc. Technological hazards originated from the interaction of society, technology and natural system. Example: Chernobyl disaster of Ukraine in 1986, Bhopal gas tragedy in India of 1984. It can be further classified as industrial hazards. Bhopal gas tragedy, which happened in 1984, structural collapse hazard, flyover collapse in Kolkata in 2016, nuclear hazard, Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine of 1986, computer hazard, ransomware attack in India in 2017, transportation hazard, Gyaneshwari Express accident in West Bengal, which happened in 2010. Chronic hazards, long-term events or chronic hazards, long-term events or cyclical hazard. These are also called silent hazard or elusive hazards, as these are very hard to identify. It originates due to repeated exposure but have very little perceivable impact in time and space. Example: riverine erosion, food insecurity, land degradation, soil piping, soil erosion, etc. However, it is to be understood that a hazard does not necessarily arise from a single originating factor but having multiple sources of origin. Hazards are also classified on the basis of their speed of onset as slow onset. Slow onset event provides response time. Example: the time to raising warning and time required for preparedness and response. Example: drought, heat waves, etc. Fast onset: these events give no response time and affects instantaneously, example earthquake, cloudburst, etc. Medium onset, though not well defined, but these can be considered as events which fall in between slow and fast onset. These provide a very short time window to generate warning and prepare for the hazard, example cyclone, floods, although traditionally considered under fast onset hazards. There is another classification scheme based on hazard frequency as single time event, major event which occur once and does not follow a seasonal or temporal pattern, example earthquake. Chronic event, major event which follow a seasonal pattern or occur repeatedly after a certain interval of time, example flood, cyclone, etc. Depending on the time of initiation of hazard, it can be classified as primary, secondary or tertiary hazards. As classic example of this kind of tsunami generated by Tohoku earthquake in Japan that caused Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in March 11, 2011. In this case, earthquake was the primary hazard which created the secondary hazard of tsunami, which further created the tertiary hazard of nuclear spillage. Further, hazards are also classified into two categories based on the spatial characteristics: concentrated, the event which affect a significant number of a population located in a single location, example floods; dispersed are hazards events affecting a significant number of population spreading across the geographical location, example heat waves. While discussing about hazard, it would be worthwhile to discuss about the characteristics of hazard, which is as under. Magnitude. Magnitude is the strength or force of the hazard event. The scale of measurement varies across hazards. While earthquake is measured in Richter scale or modified Mercalli intensity scale, hurricanes are measured in Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale. Certain hazards have no well-defined scale of measurement and are measured based on their impacts. Duration. Duration is the time during which a hazard event persists. Seasonality. The seasonality particular season in which the hazard are more likely to occur. Spatial extent is the area affected by hazard. Now let us talk about vulnerability. Vulnerability is defined as the degree of loss resulting from the potentially damaging phenomena. The area may be called high or low vulnerable depending upon geological or geographical and other factors. Vulnerability is the characteristics of a person or group and their situation that influences their capacity to anticipate, cope with, resist and recover from the impact of a natural hazard. It is the reduced capacity of individual to cope with the recover from hazardous event. Alternatively, vulnerability exists with the likelihood that some kind of crisis may occur that will damage one's health, life or property and resources on which one's health and life depends. UNISDR defined vulnerability as the characteristics and circumstances of a community, system or asset that make it susceptible to the damaging effect of a hazard. It is the increased susceptibility of people to be affected by disaster. Combining the two ideas, we can define vulnerability as the characteristics of a person or group of a person who are susceptible to the impacts of hazard and have reduced capacity to recover from hazardous event. This introduces the idea of susceptibility and resilience. Vulnerability can be considered broadly as a function of a susceptibility and resilience. Susceptibility is the fact of being exposed. Resilience is the capacity to adjust and recover when the external shock strikes. The following cases elaborate the concept. The house of a person is situated in a flood-prone zone which is not built to withstand flood, but the person has enough resources to rebuild the house once it gets damaged. He also has another house where he can relocate during flood. In this case, the person is susceptible but resilient. In the other case, if the person has no house to relocate or resources to rebuild house post flooding, but the house itself is built to withstand flood and not be affected much, In this case, the person not resilient but susceptible to the hazard. In the last case, let us consider the person does not have a flood-proof house, nor does have an alternate resource to rebuild or additional house to relocate during floods. In this case, the person becomes vulnerable to the impact of the flood. Susceptibility has a physical connotation and is easier to assess. It can be considered as the proximity and exposure to the hazard. Resilience, on the other hand, is a complex concept consisting of multiple parameters like access to resource, capacities, etc., and are harder to assess than susceptibility. Vulnerability in the context of disaster. Vulnerability derived from the word vulnerare, which is in Latin, meaning to wound, could be seen as an indicator of areas of greater concern with respect to a system. It is the degree to which a system might react adversely to the occurrence of an event or hazard. Vulnerability is internal due to system and depend on the system's inherent strength or rather than weaknesses. Berkman in 2007 identifies vulnerability as the internal factor that affect the transformation of hazard into disasters. It determines a hazard impact on the society or element at the risk. The manifestation of a hazard create additional stressors for the vulnerable group. It interact with pre-existing vulnerabilities and create multidimensional adversities. The lack of fallback mechanism or coping capacities due to the weakness of the system translate hazard into disaster. The PAR model and the access model better reflect the interaction of vulnerabilities and hazards. Pre-existing vulnerabilities are often responsible for creating disasters, while disasters only add to the stress and creating further vulnerabilities in the affected population. It often results in the creation of cyclical nature of vulnerability. Thus, vulnerability act as a case and consequences of disaster. UNISDR in 2004 state that the vulnerability is determined by physical, social, economical and environmental factors or processes which increase the susceptibility of a community to the impact of hazards. There are many aspects of vulnerability. Example, many include poor design and construction of a building, inadequate protection of assets, limited official recognition of risk and preparedness measures, and disregard for wise environmental management. These largely fall in the category of physical and environmental factors. Determinants of vulnerability are also rooted in the social relation and historically rooted patterns of discrimination, inequity in access to resources and power. Societal dynamics and development trajectory also determines the vulnerability. The interaction of multiple vulnerability factors determine the individual's position in the society and access to resources. These resources are economic, social and political in nature. These factors in turn determine the susceptibility and resilience of individuals. An example below illustrates the concept. In literature, the increased vulnerability of socially marginalized group in disaster context have been highlighted. Often the hamlet of these groups are located in particularly disaster prone areas and often they do not recover from the impact of the disaster even after many years. Generally, these groups are not allowed to socially mingle with the higher caste group. Even if they are allowed, often these individuals do not have to be economic capability to afford doing so. Thus, they end up staying in disaster prone localities away from mainland. In the eventuality of disasters, these marginalized groups are the first to get affected. Once affected, these groups due to their marginalized status face unequal right to property, exclusion from decision making and difficulties in accessing information, health and financial services. The social tension existing in a normal situation become prominent in the resource constrained environment. Thus, the recovery process of these groups take longer time and often they fail to recover from the impact of the hazards, ending up in higher level of vulnerability. Hook in 1999 has opined that poor communities living with fewer resources are unable to decrease their vulnerability. These individuals are also termed as at-risk population. It includes groups whose needs are not fully addressed by traditional services provided, or those who feel they cannot comfortably or safely use the standard resources offered in disaster preparedness, relief and recovery. Measuring vulnerability. Vulnerability as a concept has a strong theoretical foundation, but the quantification of vulnerability is complex due to its subjectivity, relativity and dynamicity. We can observe that certain aspects of vulnerability are generic like poverty, but others are dynamic. One such example is presented below. Agencies operating in disaster scenarios identify women as also a vulnerable group. Office of the United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights in 2009. For more than physical reasons, the root cause of women's vulnerability to the impact of disaster are lack of access to the resources such as income, education, health and social network. Women are affected more severely in environmental hazards due to their dependent status in most societies and their limited control of resources. The undermentioned three cases justifies that within a household variation in the level of vulnerability may be observed. This brings us to the idea of a scale for measuring vulnerability. The scale can be global, regional, national, community, household or individual level. Perceiving individual level vulnerability is preferred but considered time and resource constraint. It is not feasible. This raises the question of what should be the optimum level at which vulnerability should be measured. In a matrilineal society, women's vulnerability due to dependent status does not hold. This is related to the perception and cultural factor. In Hurricane Mitch, it was observed that more men died as compared to women, considering the gendered role of men as protector, not only because they were engaged in open air activities, but also because they did not take precaution. Hence, vulnerability varies significantly across communities and over time. Vulnerability also varies due to the exposure of hazards. High casualty of women in disasters like earthquake was evident in Latur, which was in 1993, and Bhuj in 2001 earthquake, as women mostly stayed indoors. Similar scenarios were observed in 1991 Bangladesh cyclone Ikeda, which happened in 1995, and post-tsunami in Sri Lanka, where due to low physical agility, the casualty in women was more, while at the national level accidental deaths in heat and sunstroke is more for men than women, which can be attributed to the fact that men in India are involved in outdoor activities more than women for livelihood purposes. These complexities hinder the development of universal standard for vulnerability measurement. It makes vulnerability assessment a subjective task which should be based on the contextual background. It is therefore understood that beyond a certain threshold, every individual or community is vulnerable. Now the typology. Vulnerability can be broadly divided into the following categories. Physical vulnerability. This is the vulnerability of an individual or assets as physical vulnerability. This is the vulnerability of an individual or assets and infrastructures arising from physical components like settlement pattern, density, remoteness, etc. It may be further divided into environmental and anthropogenic. Environmental, a person residing in a landslide prone zone, and anthropogenic, a person residing in an earthquake prone in seismically unsafe construction. Social vulnerability. This type of vulnerability arises due to the social standing of a person. It can be further divided into caste, social group, communal relations, political affiliations, education, health, age, sex, and others. Economic vulnerability. Depend on the economic status of the individual, it is well established that the poor communities are more vulnerable to hazards as compared to rich communities because they have fewer resources and limited capacity to prevent or cope up with the impact of disasters or hazards. Environmental vulnerability. This type of vulnerability is mostly dependent of natural resource depletion and resource degradation. Risk has been defined as the concept of risk is used by multiple disciplines and has many interpretations. It is the measure of expected loss, human probabilities, disruptions of economic activities due to particular hazard. Therefore, risk is combined impact of hazard and vulnerability. In the context of disaster management, the concept of risk has found many interpretations. It is defined as the probability that a hazard will materialize at a given space and time. Modified from WHO in 1998, the term risk is also used to refer to the expected losses from a given hazard to a given element at risk over a specified future time period. Provincial Emergency Program developed by British Columbia combines two concepts and defines risk, a measure of probability and severity of adverse event to health, property, the environment or other thing of value. The word risk is derived from the word riskier, meaning run into danger. Risk is probability that can be calculated, while hazard is a potential that can be assessed. Example, let us consider the risk of a tightrope walker walking on a high wire. The risk of a tightrope walker is the probability of falling off the wire and getting injured. The hazard here is falling off the wire. The tightrope walker is vulnerable as he is exposed to the hazard. Now, let us consider that the high wire is only 1 meter above the ground. In that case, the risk is much less than when the wire is 50 meters above the ground. Thus, the risk is probability of the tightrope walker falling and also the severity of the possible impact. Let us consider there is a crowd below the tightrope walker. The crowd might get injured when the walker falls. In this case, both the tightrope walker and the crowd is vulnerable, but the vulnerability of the tightrope walker is much higher than the crowd due to his susceptibility to fall and get injured. If the tightrope walker uses a harness or a safety net, then the risk of falling and getting injured is mitigated to the large extent. The presence of a medical emergency van at the site will not reduce the risk of fall, but will reduce the risk of injury, which can also be considered as preparedness. Risk perception. People often react to their perception of risk instead of addressing the actual risk they face. The below figure shows how risk of different hazard is perceived by humans. What is the actual risk of a hazard? The areas of negative bias in spite of posing more threat are often ignored and remain unaddressed due to the incorrect perception regarding them. On the other hand, in the areas of positive bias, risk is overestimated and action to minimize the risk are undertaken. The psychometric paradigm of risk perception has a significant impact on risk management as it impacts people's behavior toward risk. This also brings us to the idea of acceptable risk, degree of human and material loss that is perceived by the community or relevant authority as tolerable in action to minimize disaster risk, is termed as acceptable risk. By summarizing this topic, we say that hazards are potentially damaging physical events, phenomena or human activities that cause loss of life, injury, property, damage, social and economic disruption or environmental degradation. Vulnerability is defined as the reduced capacity of individuals to cope with the recover from hazardous event as also susceptibility to be affected by hazards. Risk is defined as the probability that a hazard will materialize at a given space and time. Thank you.